Hello everybody here at PÖFF TV at the Black Nights here in Tallinn. We're here to discuss today a wonderful film from main competition, Ducks and Urban Legend. And yes, we have ducks with us, with me, and ducks and great guests. With me is producer Oren Rogovin and Shahar Rozen, the director. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Christoph.
Good morning, good morning. Well, this film has at its core and in the title these plastic ducks. They are one of the poetic ideas of many, and of course this is a humane drama, but you chose this as a title. And I wondered what it emblemizes for you. What is the poetic quality of choosing the ducks?
The idea of choosing the ducks comes from a story. Okay, we're storytellers. And the story is about a ship that was sailing from Hong Kong, from Taiwan, to California. There was a big storm, a container fell off the ship, and it broke into the water, and 24,000 yellow rubber ducks fell into the ocean. And most people would think they'll disappear, but they started traveling.
And they are still traveling, by the way. They are.
Yes, and part of them went up to the north.
Yes.
Several came to Boston, to Chile, to Australia. And it was an accident. And when I heard this story, I understood that accidents are good sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's a line from the film. Mm-hmm. Because it forces you to choose again who you really are and what is really important to you. And that's the idea of the ducks.
And you bring the ducks to Tel Aviv, both visually, but also to talk about Tel Aviv. Because you said accidents, and accidents are a good thing, would you say Tel Aviv is a city of accidents? Or is that too closely cut to put that together like that?
I think it's a little bit too closely, but Tel Aviv is like many cities. Mm-hmm. There are rich people and poor people. Right. Our movie is about a neighborhood that we determine as the wrong side of Tel Aviv, people that are struggling to survive. And the film was made with an ensemble of actors that studied and worked in the same neighborhood. And we collected stories from the streets of the neighborhood. The film is not a documentary. That's the reason it's called an urban legend, because we took the stories and we had the artistic freedom to go wild with them. And also joined us a writer, an Israeli writer that also lived and was born in the neighborhood called Dudu Bussi, and he gave us his perspective also, because we were visitors for many years, but he was a native in the neighborhood.
Okay, so if I understood you right, all the actors come from working there in a cultural sense already. Are these fresh faces in terms of Israeli cinema, most of them or many of them?
The joke is that when we started, all the actors were anonymous and really young, because it was in an acting school. Okay. And working on this film was a very, very, very long process. Okay. And we started shooting almost 10 or 11 years after we started, and we had to adapt the script to the new age. Right. And it was an accident waiting for 11 years, but it made the film better.
Okay. I might say that nowadays they're all working and successful actors and actresses in the Israeli theater and cinema.
Yes, in the middle of the process, people came and told me, you need to change one of the actors and take a leading actor in Israel in order to bring audience. Mm-hmm. Until we made the film,
it happened.
It became a famous actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, not one, two or three of them became famous.
Okay. Coming back to the image of the duck, this is a floating film, or as my colleague put it, a jazzy film going around. And it is extremely important for that to work, having 5 main roles to find that way of interchanging and intertwining the stories. And I think this is a film that was both built in scenario, then probably in on-set adding ideas, and also in editing. I mean, very much about that, I guess.
What we did, the process was a very long process, like I said, and each scene I wrote to add an idea about. I'll call the actors to come, their friends, and we'll improvise it on the scene, and then I recorded the improvisation and took their lines into the film back again. So each character in the film is based on a story from the neighborhood. The actor that plays the character's life, his own life, and my life. And this jazzy film is because it's like 3 stories, 5 main characters, but there is a 6th main character, and it's the neighborhood. You know, I believe people many times think they're alone, but the fact is we live in communities, okay? And we belong to our community, if we love it or if we hate it, but we belong. And people are, you know, like this.
Right.
So we tried to make the film like a community, like an interwoven film of stories coming one into the other. It's not like 3 separate stories. It's one big stories of this community of people, and each character can be a lead in her own story and a supporting role in another story.
Right. And what is your personal story now that you prepared it for 10 years with the neighborhood? What's the interconnection?
My personal story with the neighborhood is I was an acting teacher in that neighborhood. Okay. There was an acting school called Yoram Levinstein Acting School. Yoram started the project. He came to me and told me, take this ensemble of actors, okay, and work with them and make a film.
He took part in the development of the project as well.
And that was one of the process. And another personal thing is not about me living in the neighborhood, is when we wrote the script from stories we gathered, there was the story about a young man dealing with his grandfather dying and how to deal with it. And he put his father in a wheelchair. You need a grandfather. I love to sit in the film. But what happened, amazingly, is just before shooting the film, I delayed the film in another 3 years, my father had a stroke. And I became the same character. I was walking with my father in a wheelchair. My father understood everything, but he couldn't talk. So I would translate him to the world. And many times I said whatever I wanted, and he was laughing. So my life and the film became together.
His father communication to the world was through Shahar in that matter.
I think one key line of the film is, and I paraphrase it, we learned not to make plans but to live day by day. That's what I remember, and this is something that is in the faces, in the way the characters move. So yes, this is talent. This is faces, but this is also working with acting talent. How would you like to tell more, because this is obviously important to you, how you worked with the young actors to give them this deep sense, this contradictory sense in every scene that we see.
I'm a teacher. I teach Chabak technique, the leading acting coach from Hollywood. And I believe that you need to know how to analyze a scene. That's many people know. But the strong thing is how to connect your own life to the character, to bring your own personality and your own biography into the character, because there is a neurological law. If you work only with the front lobe of the brain, 30% of your face muscles doesn't move.
Oh, really?
So that's the reason many actors seem so concentrate when they're acting. And I want to open the face and the movement. To do that, you need to find the method to make the emotional and the limbic part of the brain working. And in the way we do that, the way I teach and the way I work, we do it all the time through emotional diaries, inner objects, and a moment before. It's things that connect you to the character very strongly.
And one other thing, this is connected to what I said. It's everyday life trying to get by, but these are, of course, all characters pressurized by money. And to what ends they will go to make ends meet, no?
Yeah. You know, one of the characters, he has a brilliant idea. He's very brilliant, Yossi. He has an amazing invention, but he doesn't know what to do with it. Okay, if he was born in a good family with some economic some money, he could develop it. But he doesn't know what to do with it, and the idea gets nowhere. And he talked with his friend Asaf, and when they found out it's already written as an invention
in Munich,
yes, and then Asaf tells him by a professor from Munich. And he says, imagine what would happen if we were born in Munich. Because when you are born in the wrong side of a city, you have a glass ceiling that it's very hard to cross.
Right, right. And this is all to be seen in Ducks, an Urban Legend, having its world premiere here. Thank you so much in Israeli Focus.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to seeing you all in the cinema with the audience. And there's the duck.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.